What is up, everyone? It is I, yes, of course, and I am actually reading a creepypasta. I haven't done this in a long time. Believe it or not, I haven't done this since school started. So yeah, it's very exciting to start this. So today, the creepypasta I'm gonna be doing is Sonic.Exe. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like anyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I didn't want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed until I noticed out of my perpetual vision that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual and left. I paused my game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing I got in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle, whom I hadn't heard from in 2 weeks. I know that because I recognized his handwriting, though it was weird how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Kyle was having a hard time writing it down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it's too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me, and if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, or otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game. It's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please, Kyle. Well, this was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend, and I hadn't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think of that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc, and it looks like an ordinary computer CD disc, except it had black marker on it written Sonic.Exe, and it was pretty much unlike Kyle's handwriting, meaning that he must have gotten it from someone else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and I wanted to play it since I'm a big Sonic fan. I went to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed it was the first Sonic game, and I was like, awesome, because like I said earlier, I like the classics. The first thing I noticed when I pressed start, there was a split second when I saw a title image turned into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember what the image looked like a split second before the game cut black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666, and the water had turned red, like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. But the freakiest thing was that in the split second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with two glowing red dots staring right at me, and his simple smile stretched wider up to the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about the image when I saw it though. I figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so, and another weird thing happened. The stage file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF? What's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, I did notice something off the background. There was a dark, cloudy sky and the bad Stardust Speedway level from Sonic's CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was creepy. Was that creepy Caverns of the Winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and it seemed to have been in reverse. And the image for the save file where you see a preview of the level you're on is just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out was more of the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. Now I was sure something was up. I mean, how can you play as Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realized this wasn't a glitchy game. It was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really creepy, but a smart gamer but as smart as a gamer, I wasn't scared. I told myself that it was just a hacked game, and there was nothing wrong with that. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked file 1 and chose Tails, and when I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded an awful like Kelfka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, then it showed the typical level title thing, except simplest shapes were different shades of red, and the text only showed Hill, Act 1. The screen faded in the title, and the title vanished, revealing Tails and Green Hill Zone from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and it had Tails running like you would in of any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that Tails was running along the level. There was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for 5 minutes. That's when peaceful music started to lower down into slow deep tone slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face, and I never saw him had before. So I had him move along, and he kept that worried face as he kept moving. I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried. As the music lowers, he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. It looked like someone killed them, rather in gruesome ways. A squirrel was hanged on a tree with what appeared to be his small entrails hanging out, and the bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently, so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there were no more animals, and the music seemed to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed, the music stopped. Tails was running up a hill, and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen, with his back against Tails, with his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see Sonic, but then his smile flattered, obviously. Noticing Sonic wasn't responding to him. It wasn't if not acting as if he was totally obvious of Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move. This had to have been a cutscene. Suddenly I began to have a growing feeling of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt that Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic, and stopped and stuck his head out to touch him. The foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger, and I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like that title image. Oh, there wasn't a smile when that happened. The screen turned black and static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared, forming a message saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a level with the title now saying hide and seek. This time I was in Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I was starting to get freaked out by this. Tails was actually breaking the 4th wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2 was playing as I made trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape from whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly I heard a creepy laugh again, that awful Kefka laugh. right after 10 seconds have passed, as I helped Tails run through the forest. And then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed too. That suspenseful drowning jingle, as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up to him, flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose was a sprite making a look very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic and he had black and red eyes. Only this time he had the most deranged looking grin on his face. He looked as though he was enjoying the torment he was giving to the poor little fox as he gained up on him. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, another cutscene, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kinda teared up myself, but when Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror, blood started to come down from those blackened eyes of Sonic's and his grin, and slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screaming noise, and that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Wanna try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails are supposed to be best friends, right? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but the TV screen, which was flickering with red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone black, and that expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again, and stayed there for 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't really tell if it was a glitch or a hack of some kind of sick twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. It had the ground of scrap rain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had a darkish reddish cloudy sky, but it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Geigus, the Geigus theme, right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did, though not as much. More rather, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall, just like Tails did, and looked at me if he wasn't sure about going on, but I made him move anyway. He ran down the straight pathway in this dark level, and as he did, the screen started to flicker red static a couple times, and that maddening laugh came. And then, after a few seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear. Again, thinking something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated, walking down this blood-stained road, but I kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him, with those black and red eyes, and the red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you." I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What's going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking, and Sonic was nowhere to be found. And this time, that high-pitched squealing from the Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles, and what happened to be pixelated in black smoke. I made Knuckles turn, then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again. And Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and even I felt like I was going crazy. Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick, twisted little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles As Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing, I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles, and the screen went black with another distorted screaming noise. And that lasted for 3 seconds. Another message appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? What the hell? What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, his dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too, and he had the look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those were actual characters trapped in those screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap. Wish I hadn't, cause then I began to have the most disturbing nightmare. I was in a pitch black darkness though I was under the light given off by a lamp that hung above my head. I could hear the cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us, why did you give us to him? And run away before he gets you too." Their cries died out as I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh, it sounded a lot like a discorded Kefka laugh. "You're a lot of fun to play with, kid. You're just like your friend Kyle." He didn't last long. I was scared and looking around for the source of this voice. Won't be long until you join him and my other friends. I saw him walking toward me, flickering in and out in several directions. "You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others." When he grabbed me and I saw his bleeding black, the red-eyed grin on his face, I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik, but anything the level title appeared again, and this time it said ... which I found really freaky. This time it was some kind of hallway. It didn't really look like it was from any classic Sonic games though. It had a pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were dark grayish purple with animated candle lights and a few dark blood stains here and there. And there was a dark red curtain hanging above the part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, the red curtain always sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you can barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing, a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This was the song that played in Hill, Act 1, only it was in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face as if he was a bit paranoid. He did have a little animation when I just left him standing. He turns his head left and then to the right at least twice, and then he shrugs at me as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation as we continued through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, and then we headed down another flight of stairs. Down this one was much longer. It took at least 1 full minute. And then I heard a horrid Kefka laugh again, and then the music slowly faded until it was quiet, as it did. The walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he looked now really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly Sonic popped out in front of Robotnik, the same way he did Knuckles, and then the red static. The red static lasted for about 15 seconds, and it showed me the most unpleasant image. The image showed the hyper-realistic of Sonic standing in darkness. You can only see his face with his head and torso into the black, and when I say hyper realistic, I mean he looks so real you could actually see the line in his blue fur, as you could actually see the fur if you touch the screen. His face, oh god, the most horrifying smile I've ever seen, and that's saying something considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes were wide and black, and once again crying in blood, which also looked hyper realistic. His eyes were wide and black, and once again crying in blood, and there were two small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched to his sides of his face like a Siamese cat, except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs, much like the werehog's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips and fangs, as if he ate some animal. I stared at the gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off. I felt if he was actually looking at me, smiling at me. The face, it just took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Then the frames flickered with static again 3 times, and the third time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. I went back to the image again, except this time there was the text, though it was messed up, but it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I've looked at since I had this game. I am God. It was when I read this message while looking at Sonic when it hit me. I realized right there and then, this Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, all-powerful, nightmarish, demented monster, and all his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Kyle, and are just his little toys. The game is the gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but a literally spiral abyss of pure darkness before the red static came again. This time much louder and disordered, so loud that it hurt my eyes. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped, and showing nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? This Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as if Sonic was right behind me, played again 3 times as I looked at that text, shock and confusion. Then I got bored back to the main menu, and this time the third save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin turned a dull gray, his mustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broke, and blood is coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles, and Robotnik, and I cried a bit. I pitied them from the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by the horrid hedgehog, and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn it back on no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what just had happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures the people who play his game in more ways than one, and when he gets bored, he drags you into the game, literally drags you to hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get the game out of my computer. I think it's stuck in there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. I sat there for 25 seconds. I heard a voice coming from right behind me, like a whisper, try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains under his eyes. Well, I know this wasn't scary, and I didn't read it well, but, yeah, this wasn't really that scary, considering that shit like this doesn't happen. Like, especially that ending, though, like, it just can't, like, pop up there, unless some evil spirit, like, made it It did pop up there. But yeah, this story is basically like impossible. It may never happen. And yes, there's a game on it, which is actually it's not real. It's not the real game, because you can actually see like credits at the end of it, which I might not be showing at the screen. But overall, it was a good creepypasta. It was interesting, especially the first time I had read it or listened to it, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I know I messed up here and there, but still, forgive me. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this creepypasta, don't forget to leave a like, comments, and subscribe. It helps out a ton.